With a driving theme and when things don't work out. Out of control teenagers taking over streets across the nation now. Those scenes from Los Angeles.
This is what gentle parenting got us. A bunch of teens just running rampant, running loose, thinking they own the world and they can do whatever they want, create total anarchy. They can mob, they can steal, they can rob, they can carjack, they can graffiti, they can fight, they can block traffic. Is that what gentle parenting got us? All the while, these same teens can't read, can't write. They pass to the next grade without passing anything at all. They have all sorts of mental health issues. They're all overweight, pop all sorts of pills, and have no social decorum or etiquette whatsoever. Most of them don't know how to dress. Just saying. These teen takeovers, they are turning into a nationwide problem. And I mean, what's next? What other kind of epidemics can we create for ourselves in this country? Let's take a look at how bad they are and what hopefully these cities are doing something about it, what they're doing about it to try to deal with the issue.
Have turned to curfews and other restrictions to try to discourage teenagers, but the trend is now spreading. In the last few months, police in 11 cities have responded to takeovers, some of which have turned violent. Many of them events are organized on social media, so they're getting bigger as more people respond. Like this one. Let's take a look. It turned a Wisconsin mall into a madhouse. Videos show hundreds of masked spring breakers invading stores and starting fights. And at least 13 people were arrested in that one. Law enforcement officials are warning viral videos of these events are breeding copycats now. And police departments say they are overwhelmed as a small gathering can devolve into chaos very quickly. Lisa, what's your thought?
Well,
Yeah, before she gets into her thoughts, I just want to share, I'm surprised. I used to live in Seattle. I'm surprised Seattle's not on the list. For several years now, they've had similar issues. I don't know if they necessarily fall under the viral teen takeover umbrella, but similar issues where, because there's so many of them gathered, the police is, especially being completely understaffed, as far as the police are concerned, there's not much that they can do because they're overwhelmed and they're outnumbered. So it's sad to see that this is happening in so many other cities, and the cops, the police can't police anymore. They don't have enough people or resources to take care of the problem.
I blame Democrats. Full stop. I mean, for decades and years now, they have been leading this breakdown of society from all different vantage points, from a policy standpoint to the narrative around policing, also culturally as well. I mean, you look at the policing angle, all the soft on crime stuff that Democrats have pushed, the elimination of cash bail, abolishing the police. And then you get to culturally with welfare, incentivizing single family homes, punishing marriage as well. You look at the breakdown of God, of, mocking God as well, mocking the family unit. And then you look at the narrative around policing. You could go back to Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot. President Obama pushed that lie. He said it was a breakdown of, the policing and, really blamed the police throughout the era. You look at Kamala Harris. She went and told Jacob Blake in Wisconsin that she was proud of him, a guy who showed up at his own victim's home to re-victimize her and then pulled a knife on police officers. Kamala Harris also encouraged people to fund the Minnesota Bail Fund as well, and to bail out some of those rioters in Minnesota. Mayor Johnson said that law enforcement was a sickness. So you can go down all the way down the line and see how they have led to this degradation of society and this breakdown of society. So I blame the Democrats, full stop.
Mike,
I just gotta say, okay, Lisa Booth. Okay. I don't watch Fox News like this. I'm brand new to this woman, but she's hitting to the root of the issue, and she is spot on, man. They have been chipping away, and the society has been falling apart for decades now. and I've said this in several videos. I'll continue to say it. But this is all part of an agenda that started hundreds of years ago now to degrade society. And we're seeing it happen. I mean, these teen takeovers where they're turning violent. They have this mentality that they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, and there's no consequence. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, there is hardly any consequence because, like I was saying, the police are understaffed. They don't have enough people on the force to deal with the situation, let alone there's plenty of policies in place now where cops have to be soft on crime. The police can't police like they need to. Then there's issues with bail. Judges let these people go. They're constantly, jails are overcrowded or people just don't get sentenced. And the cycle just continues. And these teens, I mean, I think a lot of it, well, obviously a lot of it's social media, but media in general. Look at the music that they listen to, the TV they watch, the movies they watch from a very young age. Parents aren't parenting anymore. And like she's saying, a lot of it is because they're in single parent households, and that typically means they're in a single mom household. And moms, they're not the disciplinarian. They're the ones who are soft. And then if you're talking about a single mom or a single parent in general, that they're busy working, they're not busy, they're not available to parent their children like they need to, right? So she's spot on with everything she said. I want to hear more.
Just last hour, Kelly Simpson was a former U.S. attorney, Emily, and I thought of you when he talked about consequences, and he said this needs a Pavlovian response.
I like that, the bell with the dog.
Yeah.
If we view this through the lens of these are children, then we need to see that they are victims, and they could be victims. And when we talk about the violence, the nature of the crimes that they're engaging in, it is absolutely horrifying. And if you want to have that party see them for what they will, well, then they should understand that there's an epidemic of opportunity and threats to these kids' safety. Now, if you want to look at it through the lens of them being adults, it makes it all the more frightening. And that's what I think we should do. The enforcement mechanism has been totally gutted here. Arrests mean nothing without actual incarceration and consequences that the attorney talked about.
Exactly.
The reality is that we have demoted family court into some type of summer camp for them. There are no consequences. There's zero accountability, and there's zero incentive for those kids to succeed whatsoever. What options have we provided for them? None. In the public school sector. We've talked about the millions of dollars that we've shoved toward the unions. They're not being educated. They're not being cared for. They're not being fed in some instances. We've degraded the family unit, so they're not going home to God. They're not going home to a stable unit. Perhaps their one family member is out working 4 jobs to try to put that food on the table. So instead, they're incentivized by social media, by the dopamine hits, and by the apps that encourage them to be violent and to be viral at the expense of the collateral damage, which is good American citizens losing their lives, their livelihoods, and their property. And we're supposed to just call them kids?
Ooh, you know what you just tipped into? So we've been following all these social media trials. Think about the victims in some of these, and people do get hurt in some of these instances. Think about the argument that they can make, like this formed on social media. Are you going to try to call this or block it? And a lot of these people are minors, according to my last guest, the U.S. Attorney, Kelly Simpson, said most of the carjackings in Washington, D.C. are by 14-year-olds. I mean, it's a lot.
Sadly, I have to say, I'm not surprised. Again, going back to my former home city, Seattle, a lot of those same crimes, they are done by juveniles. And some of them are, 12 years old, 11. It's just, if we don't do something about this, it's just going to get worse. Then the majority of them, it's going to be 8-year-olds. It's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. I'd like to say that I'm surprised, but I'm not.
It's just a symptom of the breakdown of the family. I mean, obviously, dads, where are you? Stepping in to train your children. I know my daughters, when they were born, as soon as they could understand English, the very first thing I trained them on is that you will not disrespect your mother. That was the number one rule in our home. And it still is. And from that, you grow respect for mankind, for others, and also for society, and also for our nation and those individuals that are making this nation great. And the looting you see taking place in these videos, it's just very sad. Break down the family is a big part of this.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also you're taught to respect yourself, right? These teens have no self-respect. They don't understand they don't understand the word respect to begin with, let alone self-respect or self-worth. If they had any of that inside of them, they would not be engaging in this behavior. They wouldn't speak, dress, or act like they do.
I thought all great points, the breakdown of the family, the challenges with policy. Another thing is the effort from law enforcement to catch up with something. With social media taking off and allowing this collaboration, they're now turning to, these other takeovers that sometimes use vehicles. Very, very dangerous. These not necessarily, but there have been a lot of laws that have been put in place to address those kinds of takeovers with
motorcycles.
Vehicles. Yes. And now they're planning to use those laws to effectively react to this in the same way. And one of the other things that I think might potentially be powerful is to going after the organizers civilly, not just criminally, but civilly as well. Now, whether or not there's much to recoup there, but to hold them responsible in some sort of way. So I think law enforcement is also struggling to catch up with this as it gets underway.
So what's interesting about that, you talked about the parents, specifically the father in the home. You start hitting them in the pocketbook and you might get their attention.
That's true. As a father, I mean, I'll speak to the men out there because I am a man and I am a father. I mean, men should raise their daughters to be an example for the type of man that they would seek to marry and spend their life with. And they should raise their sons to be the type of man that their sons would emulate. And we have a breakdown in society. I just read a statistic. It's either 1 in 4 or 1 in 3 households in the nation are fatherless. Fatherless homes in this nation. It's 3 times the global average. Globally, it's about 7%. It's 23, depending on what survey you see, up to 33% of fatherless homes in our nation. And a breakdown of the home, like I said, and the fact that these kids aren't getting the stable understanding of respect and those things that dads bring to the table. Moms do too, certainly, but that stable family unit is very impactful on our society, and we've seen it, and we continue to.
Lisa?
Yeah, I mean, the police shouldn't be up to them to parent these kids. I mean, to your point, Captain, it should start with the parents.
Indeed.
And I guarantee if that household was more structured and there were 2 parents checking in on their kids, we would see a reduction in this.
I know if I were in this video and my dad were to see me in that video, he would be first very saddened. He would be take it personally against him, and then as a college student, I'm still under his purview. There'd be repercussions. There would be accountability.
Yeah. The breakdown of the family and of the home. Again, like I said, this is all part of an agenda that's been going on for hundreds of years, and we're seeing it in full force. Without 2 parents in the household, without dads in the household, you have children, young adults behaving like heathens, like criminals, engaging in criminal activity. They need discipline. They need structure. They need role models. They need health. They need health in their homes. And they're not getting it. And that has become the norm. That has become socially acceptable. No longer is it shameful. It's typical. And when you take away shame, it gets pretty dangerous when you take away shame, in my opinion. So we need to bring back shame. We need to start encouraging people to have a moral compass again. That's what happens when your society goes secular, right? We were founded as a Christian nation, and that's gone out the window. So people have no moral compass anymore. They don't have values anymore. They're all focused on themselves and how they feel and what they want in the moment. So there's no value or love for community, upholding our community, being an outstanding citizen. It's sad. What once was a very beautiful country full of bright, intelligent, driven, humble people is now turning into this. And this is only one of the epidemics that we have going on here. So I'd like to hear from you in the comments below. What do we have to do to change this? What do we have to do to change this? Or if you don't want to think that big with me, tell me, what do you think the cops need to do better to handle these situations? Because forget trying to all of a sudden not have any more single parent households and have a bunch of kids with respect ingrained in them. We're going to have to deal with this for a while now. What do the cops need to do on the ground level to nip this in the bud so teens don't think they can get away with it time and time again? Tell me in the comments below. If you got all the way to the end, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new to me, my name is Jennifer Cesiro. I am an American wife and mom who, if you didn't catch on already, doesn't like what is happening in our society. I don't like what has become of our country, and I want to share more stories like this so people can wake up, get their heads out of their butts, out of the sand, and we can do something about it. We can turn the tides and make this country great again. So if you're with me on that, give me a subscribe again, hit the thumbs up button, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye.